Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on Footy SA with me, John Casey. Gather Round has concluded for another year and what a magnificent success it has been. We'll chat more about Gather Round in just a moment. We're also going to talk about the SANFL versus VFL clashes in both the men's and women's and a contender for goal of the year from one of those games. And we're also going to highlight the up-and-coming prospects in South Australian football as well. So a lot to look forward to. I hope you can stay with us. I've got the Advertiser's #1 football writer, Andrew Capell, with me again. Great to see you. And what are we going to be reading about in the Tiser this week, AC?
Well, right about Joel Thiele, the star Glenelg recruit, wasn't able to get a game at Sturt in their amazing one-loss season last year. Moved to the Bay, made an instant impact, kicked the winning goal that put the Bays in front against Norwood a couple of weeks ago. So his story.
And maybe we're going to hear from a coach in waiting and a former coach all wrapped in one?
Well, another column I'm going to write about is Ken Hinkley and what a revelation he has been in his new media gig in radio and television, obviously. Lost his job at Port Adelaide last year after a decade in charge of the Power. Done a great job in the media, and his passion for footy and coaching still shines through. So I'm sure within a year or two, he'll put his hand up for a senior AFL coaching gig again.
He's got some great ideas as well. Some of the topics he's bringing to the table, the father-son rule and all those type of things. I think he's been a great addition. One thing that caught my eye, and I really loved this moment for the Jack Oatey medalist Angus Anderson. Now, what a story this is. From Sydney on the Swans reserves list, makes his debut for Collingwood and kicks a goal in front of mum and dad in the stands there. But it was a long journey because he reserves at the Swans, came to Sturt to get a crack at it, and they made him play a year of reserves. He couldn't get into the first team, then he did, wins the Jack Oatey and the premiership, and he looked pretty good on the AFL Oval. Pick 57 he was, but his stats were great, 16 disposals, 6 tackles and a goal.
He was very good, wasn't he? For Collingwood against Freo, the narrow loss obviously at Adelaide Oval on Friday night, but I spoke to him last year and he just loved the phone call because no one had done much on him before. He spoke about his journey and the year before in reserves most of the season. Got his chance in the midfield last year. Big, strong, tough midfield. He was a key reason that Sturt had such a great season last year. When he got the draft nod, he was travelling overseas and he got a call from Collingwood saying he'd been drafted. Played really well in the VFL early this year. He didn't look out of place on the AFL stage at all, big and strong. There was one, he pushed off an opponent at one point, as you said, kicked a really nice goal. Craig McRae, the Collingwood coach, said after the game how well he'd played and that he would be a fixture in the team for at least the next few weeks and has a chance to cement his spot.
Yeah, we love the way you went about it. Look, we'd love your input as well. So drop us a line on the comments section below on our YouTube page or follow us on the socials as well. Get around it and have a look at what we're posting. If you're keen on sponsoring the show, well, that wouldn't go astray either. Get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. So no SANFL games this weekend. The players took part in the SANFL versus VFL state game, men's and women's. Before we talk about a great day down at Glenelg AC, the future of Gather Round, where do you see it?
In Adelaide. No question. A record crowd for the 4th edition of Gather Round, despite the weather. The past few years, the weather's been really nice. This year was quite inclement, fair bit of rain during the games, but the crowd still flocked to the matches. So much happening in the state. I've got no doubt at all there will be a long-term deal signed, sealed and delivered within the next couple of weeks.
Let's hope so. A record 270,000 fans, and given the circumstances with petrol prices and the travel costs, people were wondering if it would be able to stand up to what happened last year. Well, it broke those records. The proximity of the airport, the proximity of everything, you're an hour up to the Barossa. If they take it down south to McLaren Vale, it's an hour there. Everything is within easy touching distance. And I have to tell you, I was at the Norwood Food and Wine Festival yesterday.
Of course you were.
First time I've been there. First time I did see a lot of SANFL players.
I popped in for half an hour before an AFL game last year. Yeah, the whole street scene, doesn't it? Yeah.
It was flocking with people. Yeah. It was absolutely brilliant. And if you haven't been to the Norwood Food and Wine Festival as part of Gather Round, make sure you go next year because it was absolutely outstanding. The vibe there. I spoke to some interstate people and they'd been here multiple times and loved it. The thing that got me was everyone was in a different jumper.
Yep.
If you go to the grand final, you'll see the two teams' jumpers represented. You go to any game and you see that scenario. There were people there who were still wearing their colours, even though their team had played on a Thursday night or a Friday night. And it was just a really good vibe. Everyone was friendly. They were football fans and they were soaking up what was a great atmosphere. And full credit to the people on the parade who pulled it all together, because it was outstanding, really well done.
Even the Port St Kilda game last night at Adelaide Oval, a lot of people walking around in different scarves, tigers and lions and all these different scarves. So a lot of people went to 5 games plus. So a great occasion. As we said, the record crowd, despite the weather being poor for the weekend.
Well, the state games, the SANFL against the VFL, men's and women's. The women got the victory. It was a terrific effort by coach Narelle Smith after going down to the VFL last year. And the men, well, they led everywhere but for the finish line. But let's talk about the women first. Really impressive display. They gutsed it out, low scoring, but it was a fantastic effort.
Yeah, well, a couple of points, wasn't it, at the end of the day? 3 goals to 2 in the result, but really tough competitive footy. South Australia lost by 4.5 goals to the VFLW last year, so a terrific effort to turn that result around on home soil.
Mikayla Anthony from Central District was voted best on ground. She had 21 disposals, 6 tackles, 4 clearances. She's had some injury problems. She's only 18. She looks like a very promising player, so I was glad to see her persistence and playing away through a hip problem that she had that kept her games numbers down a little bit last year, doing so well. And it's the 10th season of the SANFL Women's competition, if you can believe that, this year, and it kicks off next weekend. There's a double header at Morn Team Kia Oval and another double header at McGain Stadium down at Noarlunga. So get out and support those games if you can. The men's game, AC, gee, it was a thriller, high quality, great contest. Both teams had their moments and the Vics got the win.
Yeah, disappointing for the SANFL, wasn't it? It was a high-quality game, as you touched on, Case. SA led at every change, got rolled in the last quarter. They led by as much as 19 points. In the second quarter, high quality, these games have been a massive success. The return of interstate footy between SA and Victoria. The only downside for us, of course, is that's 3 state losses in a row. We do proclaim to be the best state league competition in Australia, the best comp outside the AFL. We firmly believe that, despite these results, but it's hard to publicly pronounce that when you've lost 3 games in a row now. Obviously, they lost to Victoria their first game last year, then WA at Adelaide Oval, and they didn't play well in the middle of the season, and then the tough game on the weekend. They get another crack at the Sandgropers in Perth in May, so that's a must-win. We have to win that game, but these matches have been a huge success. The standard, outstanding. 2 years in a row against Victoria, it's gone down to pretty much the last kick.
And I think both games, the last 2, both teams in front in the last quarter. And as you say, SA by as many as 19 in the second. So they had their chances and, you know, they were pressing for the winning goal just as the siren sounded. They had momentum. They're going into half forward. And Louis Pinnock, who was named captain of the Victorian team this year after kicking the winning goal last year, he's not even captain of his team Werribee in the VFL. So his team captain was playing there, Jesse Clark. Dom Brew, who captained last year for the VFL, was playing in the game. But they made Pinnock the captain, and he took the match-saving mark across half-back. So they knew what they were doing there. It was a really good game. Well, thoroughly enjoyed it.
The Vics are taking these games very seriously. They picked a really strong team. Lots of former AFL players, quite a few from the SANFL, obviously James Bell and Luke Parks, who played very well, Jackson Haitley as well, Riley Bonner.
Yeah,
won the medal for Victoria as best on ground from their point of view. So a lot of guys have come through our system are now playing for the VFL, and you can see the passion between both sides. They really embraced it. Marty Matner did a good job as coach this year. It's tough for the SANFL to some degree. They only get the 2 games before they play.
Although the VFL only played 2 or 3.
Yes, they picked their squad a little bit earlier. Yeah. So a lot of
maybe some learnings in that.
Yeah, perhaps they did train the extra night this year. South Australia got together on the holiday Monday, and they'd also trained on the Wednesday and Thursday. 12 state debutants. So it was a new look team. Most of those guys performed pretty well. So I think they're doing it right. It was a bit of a wake-up call the way they performed last year. When it comes down to 1 kick in a high-quality game, it's just a luck of the draw sometimes. But what a game of footy. And we love the fact that these matches are back on the calendar, and it seems to fit really well on the Saturday afternoon in gather round.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. And I spoke to Jackson Hately post-game, interviewed him for Channel 7. He kicked a goal in the northeastern pocket down at Glenelg to put his team in front. And I said to him post-game, you're breaking our hearts here being a South Australian, putting the Vics in front in the last quarter. He had a laugh about it, but what a top quality man he is. Won the last 2 best and fairest for Essendon in the VFL. I still think he's got something to offer in AFL. But the highlight of the SANFL VFL game was this goal from Mitch Podashki. Now just look at where he is standing when the ball actually crosses the line for a 6-pointer. He's almost on the back fence. He was the difference as well. He kicked 4 goals, and I understand there were some AFL recruiters there who were looking into potential draftees in the mid-season. And you have to ask yourself, Podashki's played 8 seasons in the VFL, kicked 49 goals last year for Coburg. He's 27, but mid-season draft, maybe look out. For SA, Tommy Lewis won the Foss Williams medal, 32 disposals, 8 clearances, 7 tackles. We said it last week, he should be on an AFL list, and he showed us again why.
You know what, Case? I need to do a story on this because Tom Lewis, we know he's always been a good player. He's getting better and better. Overcame a knee reco, which
and possibly, a spleen injury that he almost lost his life with.
Spot on. The knee reco may have cost him an earlier AFL career. The spleen injury, well documented when he did die, of course. So to bounce back from that, to play so well last year in Sturt's amazing season, he's taken the next step this year. Captain of the Sturt Footy Club. He looks bigger and stronger than ever, doesn't he? He's got the rock star looks. Why hasn't he had a chance at AFL level? He's obviously not quick, but he's an inside midfielder. His kicking hasn't been his real strong point, but he's improved that. So in the next few weeks, I'm going to make some phone calls and ask people why he hasn't been picked and what he needs to do to take the next step, because he deserves a crack at it.
We did have some feedback, and thanks very much to our viewers for that, asking the question about Kobe Ryan, if he is AFL ready or what he needs to do to take that next step, because he played a great game on the weekend, 24 disposals, he kicked a goal and certainly looked right up to that standard. Where do you see he needs to work on his game to take the next step?
He was one of the most unlucky players in his draft year when he missed out, because he started for South Australia under 18 level. The knock on him, again, he's an inside midfielder, but he wins the hard footy. The knock on him has been his disposal and his kicking, but that has got noticeably better, and he kicked that beautiful goal to get us off the mark on the weekend. So, look, if he has a strong year with Westies, he'll put his name back on the radar. I think Nathan Bassett, the new Bloods coach, will be terrific for his development. He knows what it takes to play AFL, so that's a must-watch as well this year.
And Matt Allen, well, we've spoken about him in the past as well. He had another great game. He's up to AFL level, no doubt about it. 18 disposals, kicked a couple of goals as well. And Tom Scully, at 21, he was the youngest player on either team on the field. 3 goals. He spent time in the ruck. I think he's an asset that an AFL team are going to look at and say, look, we might need to give him another shot after he didn't make it at Port Adelaide.
Yeah, when Port Adelaide picked him up, he was very skinny, quite raw, so he might be an opportunity down the track. The other one you touched on in the best players, Amos Doyle. Yes. He was terrific. He beat Harry Boyd in round 1 at the parade. He's taken his game to the next level as well. Clubs are crying out for a ruckman still. Essendon has had to use Blackiston as their lead ruck in the first couple of games, who was picked up in last year's mid-season draft from the Waffle. Is Amos Doyle a chance to go this year? Because he's physically gifted, he can run, he's a big boy, and he's improved a lot in the past couple of years. He's another one. I mean, Sturt had 8 players in that state 23 on the weekend, which just shows how well they're travelling. Casey Voss is out until late in the year with a shoulder injury. So there's a couple of Sturt boys who we have to look at that might be mid-season draft possibilities.
Kicked an amazing goal, Amos Doyle, as well. If you haven't seen it, check out 7+. The game is on there to watch via replay, where he actually took the mark 20 metres out. And that's the other thing with his game. As you say, he's big and strong. He can go forward and take a mark. But the goal he kicked was actually a miss kick, and it almost went under the man on the mark who jumped because he was so close and was, trying to deflect it. And I think the ball went underneath him, but check it out on 7+. It really is worth having a look at. Well, let's turn our attention now to round 3 of the SANFL. Gets underway on Friday, April 17 at the parade. Norwood hosting South Adelaide. The Redlegs cannot afford to lose this one, AC.
This is an early season final, isn't it? We spoke about the pre-season stuff, and I think we both had Norwood in the top 2.
Top 2.
And probably the biggest challenger to Sturt for the premiership.
And they're 0-2.
Yes, amazing. They were slightly disappointing against Sturt, the parade in round one, but they lost Jackson Callow, their best key forward, early. And then against Glenelg, they led pretty much for the entire game for the last 5 minutes, as much as 4 goals at three-quarter time, when it was 6 goals to 2, and then Glenelg came home with a wet sail. So it's a must-win for Norwood. You must make the top 3, really, if you're going to challenge for the flag. We both rate them, but it'll be early season panic stations if they don't get over the line. And South's best is good enough to cause an upset.
Indeed,
too.
it is.
So it's a huge game on Friday night.
He's a cool customer, Jade Sheedy, the coach of Norwood, but I think under the water, the legs are going pretty quick.
Hey, with all due respect, he's a great bloke, Jade Sheedy, as you know, but he wasn't overly cool after that defeat to Glenelg.
No, that was a bit of
It was probably the most frustrated I've seen him after a game for many years, because he felt they did enough to win. And probably went into their shells a little bit to save the game rather than win it in the last quarter. So they're an interesting watch at the moment, because on paper they're terrific, but they've got to start churning out some wins.
Well, Norwood has won the last 7 games between these teams. The Panthers' last success at the parade was 4 years ago, if that gives our Norwood fans a little bit of hope that they're going to do well. 2 games on Saturday. Glenelg against West Adelaide at Stratorama Stadium. The Tigers have won the last 11 games between these teams. Westie's last win at the Bay was in their premiership year of 2015. Now, can Westies cause an upset here, AC?
Well, they probably can. We've seen what they've done in the first 2 rounds. They upset Adelaide at Richmond. Were leading Central at Richmond in round 2. The Doggies got in front by 2 goals in the last quarter, and they came back to salvage a draw with the guy you just spoke about, Tom Scully, kicked a fantastic goal from the boundary line with about 10 seconds left. So they've improved so much under Nathan Bassett. This is their big test, though, isn't it? The biggest test so far. Playing the Bays, who were 2-0, surprisingly 2-0 with the amount of players they lost in the off-season. So it's actually a really good game on paper now.
Looking forward to that. Also on Saturday, Central District hosting the Adelaide Crows. It's the Channel 7 game of the week, and both teams are looking for their first win. So there's going to be some desperation around this game as well. It should be a good one. We hope you can join us on Channel 7. It's
been tough for Adelaide early. There's a lot of injuries at AFL level, which obviously is a domino effect at state league level as well. They're starting to get a few players back, though, which will help their SANFL team. So they usually play Elizabeth Oval pretty well, the bigger ground, the Crows, so this should be a cracking contest.
Well, the last clash at Elizabeth between these teams, round 18 last year, the Crows led by a goal at three-quarter time, but the Dogs prevailed after Toby Murray's match-winning kick hit the post. So let's hope we get another thriller on Channel 7. It's from 2:30 on Saturday. On Sunday, 2 games, starting at 2:10, Port Adelaide versus North Adelaide. Now, do they play for the Jacob Surgeon Cup, given that he's coached both teams in the last 12 months, AC?
Well, I'll tell you what's going to have to. Jacob Surgeon needs a win. North
does.
won a really good win against Central at Elizabeth, and they were 6 goals behind to win that game. Port 0-2. Again, injuries at AFL level have really hurt the Port Adelaide team, and they got some, more at the moment. So it's going to be tough. It's a must-win for both teams, isn't it? Is North Adelaide a finals contender or not? We'll probably find that out this weekend. Yeah, and Serge would love to get off the mark at his new club, Port Adelaide.
I think Josh Franco would enjoy going back to Alberton and getting a win as well, given his background with Port Adelaide. Their last game at Alberton was a 2-point thriller. The Magpies led by 23 points at three-quarter time, but lost the lead in time on, and then Jed McEntee kicked the game winner. So these teams also played in round 14 last year at Prospect, and that was the week that we sadly lost the great Barry Robran. That should be a great game. We complete the round 3 with Sturt hosting the Eagles. Both teams undefeated. Should be a cracker. Get to Unley if you can. It's a high-quality game. How do you see it unfolding?
Well, last year, of course, Sturt, I think, kicked about the first 13 goals. They belted the Eagles.
It was 10-0 in the first quarter.
Amazing. One of the great performances of the year. And they won by over 100 points when they went on that real run of, I think they had 4 or 5 wins of 15 goals plus in a row. So Sturt are again the real deal. They actually haven't played their best side this year because of injuries. Voss has been out. Mitch Croden, of course, we forget about Mitch Croden, got injured early last year against North Adelaide, underwent a knee reconstruction. He'll be back in the team soon. So they're the real deal again. Eagles have been a surprise packet, 2-0, a great start for them. Are there some mental demons going back to Unley for the first time after what happened last year? They've got a much stronger side on the park now, of course. They were hit by injury last season. So again, we spoke about this round and some of the mouth-watering matchups this is another one of those, because this will show how advanced the Eagles are this season.
Going to be a really good game, so get out to Unley if you can. Well, that just about wraps up episode 3 here of Footy SA with John Casey. But again, we'd love your feedback. Just drop us a line in the comments section on the YouTube page, or get in touch with us via the socials as well. We're going to leave you, as always, today with our Over the Fence segment, and this is where you can get involved. If you've got something you'd like for us to discuss, a question we can answer for you, or a highlight from your local league, whether it be metro or country, that you'd like to send in to us so we can share it, that would be great as well. And today we're highlighting the Under-16 showcase game where the best youngsters in SA played in Crows and Port Adelaide jumpers at Team Oval on the opening night of Gather Round. This is a great time for these youngsters to really put themselves at centre stage, AC. You've got every AFL team in town, all the recruiters, all the development coaches. They were down there in their numbers to check out the best under-16 talent in SA. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, you're right, Case. Like 15 years ago, the recruiters mainly just watched the under-18s. But these days, it's such a specific science. They start scouting players 4 and 5 years out from their draft year. So when you're in that 15, 16-year age bracket, you're right under the radar.
It was a thrilling finish as well. The game was decided in extra time when the Crows' Nate McCleary, who plays down at Glenelg, he kicked the winning behind after scores were level at full time. So well done to Nate. And if you want to keep up to date with the best young talent in South Australia, check out SA Next Footy on Instagram. It's a resource celebrating the best youngsters, and it's put together by some of the best under-16 footballers as well. They know their peers better than anyone, and it is a great watch and certainly somewhere to pick up some of the best young talent here in South Australia. AC, thanks again for joining us here on Footy SA, and congratulations on the new addition to the family as well.
Yeah, my oldest son, Jordan, got married at Strathalbyn on Saturday, married the lovely Brooke. So the wedding went well, so yeah, good luck to the young couple.
You've survived it?
We have survived it, yes.
Great to see you again, and great to have your company as well. Have a great week, and we look forward to seeing you again soon here on Footy SA.